And you're live.
Welcome back to Judicial Dollars and Cents, the podcast where we talk about growing your law firm. Today, we're coming to you live from the PILMMA Super Summit in San Antonio, Texas, and our guest is Ken Hardison. Ken, welcome to.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Ken, I love to hear people's origin stories, and you're the founder and leader of PILMMA. So tell me, how did you get here?
No, it's a long ride. But no, I had a law firm. I graduated from law school in '82, worked my way through, did the whole deal, been on my own since I was 16. And I joined this law firm in '83. We're the oldest law firm in town, a little small town, about 10,000 people. And they hadn't really done PI work, but I love PI. I had clerked with a PI lawyer, and so I started a PI practice there in this small town and built it up pretty good in '82, by '86, '88. And then the Bates decision came out, and which says lawyers could advertise. And of course, we were in rural North Carolina, and not many lawyers, they look very poorly on advertisers as ambulance chasers. So the only advertising we did was Yellow Pages. And then about 92, 93, from 82 to 93, our business grew every year, anywhere from 10 to 20%, a slow natural growth. Then like 93, it kind of leveled out. 94, it started going down like 5%. I said, what the hell's going down? Because we're better lawyers. We give great service. We get good results. And at that time, I was doing criminal and PI. So I did a lot of DWIs. So I went to court one day to try a DWI case. And this guy, my client, kept walking in crutches. His name was Joe. And I said, Joe, what happened? He said, I got T-boned by a semi. I said, well, I do that. He said, yeah, but I saw this lawyer on TV, and I thought he must really be good if he's on TV. So I hired him. So I tried his case. He blew up 13. I won the case. I drove back to the office, sat down with my two partners. I said, we gotta change. I said, this is what's going down. The TV advertisers are taking our business. I said, we can't fight it. We got to join them. And they were dead set against it. They said, it's unethical. We're not doing it. So we had a dialogue for about 6 months. I left, took one associate, went out, borrowed $500,000. Everything I could get, even my firstborn child. And I went down and spent like 3 or 4 days with John Morgan in '96, and really just picked his brain. Went up to and talked to a lawyer named Ken Nunn. I read a lot of books about marketing, and I did a mastermind with Dan Kennedy, who's a big marketer generally. And I started my law firm and went on TV, and I went from taking 15, 20 cases a month into 100 like in 3 months. I was taking in so many cases I couldn't handle them. I was getting bar. No bar complaints, but I was getting complaints. People were going to call the bar. We just couldn't handle it. I had to turn the TV off. And so I was desperate. And this woman had come in about a job, and she had been a COO at a bigger law firm that had done PI and been on TV. I hired her, and she helped me put together the infrastructure. It took us about 90 and 20 days, and we went back on TV. And we took that firm. It was me and one other lawyer, 3 staff. And we went, in 5 years, we went to 13 lawyers and like 57 staff. Went from like $500,000 to like $8 million. This is back at the from 97 to about 2002. And just kept growing. And I had done masterminds with Dan Kennedy. And so I started my own little mastermind just with lawyers in different states that were not my competitors in probably 2005. And 2010, I sold my firm and I started PILMMA, Personal Injury Lawyers Marketing Management Association. And I started doing masterminds full time, and we had conferences like this. Been doing the conference since 2009. And now I got 7 different mastermind groups. We've got over 120 mastermind members, and then we got probably another 120 gold members. that we do intake training. We do marketing roundtables, management roundtables. We got a CFO. We got a guy that does nothing but teach lawyers how to use AI. And then we do the masterminds on top of that and do a couple conferences a year. And we turned it into a multi-million-dollar business, believe it or not, which really I did it because I got bored after I sold the law firm. I went down to Myrtle Beach, played about 6 months of golf, and I said, I'm bored. And so, we took it on board and grew it. And here we are today. I mean, I remember the first conference, I had 50 or 60 lawyers and maybe 3 vendors. And today we got probably 500 people and 80 vendors. I mean, it's just really
come
grown
a long way. And the fear and desperation is a great motivator. And it sounds like that's where you were at some point when you broke away. Yeah. And what I'm also hearing is that you're very coachable, and now you've become a coach to others. So that's a testament to you. I appreciate your story. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my story. It's
so on the CFO side in your mastermind, I mean, there are plenty of fractional CFOs out there that work for law firms, and I love law firms that realize that they didn't go to law school for accounting and finance. And so that's what we do. We fill in not just with a CFO, but with a controller and an accountant as well as a tech person. So we have an entire team that is working on a fractional basis for a law firm. And so if Cagney, one of my VCFOs, needs to go on vacation, there's 2 or 3 other people in the organization that know where all the bones are buried. So
that's great.
Yeah. And it sounds like in your firm, in your business today, you think paying attention to data is super important.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you saw our keynote speaker, Crabtree. I mean, he talked about numbers. I mean, that you got to know your numbers. If you don't know you cannot manage what you cannot measure.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you got to be diligent on data's, especially with everything coming down with technology and AI. You really got to know your data, for marketing, for management, for everything. I mean, you need to know so you can see before you can be proactive instead of reactive. Instead of reacting, all of a sudden you think everything's going great. And then, I mean, I had a fractional CFO in 1999. And he had nothing to do with law firms. I taught him about law firms, but he figured out back then, he was smart. He figured out how to project, which I said, you can't project PI. I said, because
oh, yes, you can.
Yeah. But he taught me you can. And so he took like 2 or 3 years of data and looked at my average fee and looked how long the average case took.
By type of case and what the milestones are.
Yes. Yeah. And he was projecting, he'd be within 5 or 10% every year of what I was going to do gross, Yeah. And that really helped in planning. I didn't get nervous. You know what I'm saying? I can budget accordingly instead of just guessing. Well, I think we'll have a great year next year,
Well, everybody wants to, right?
Yeah, but you got to
figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, and some years I've had to slow down growth. But every time you double your business, you got to re-engineer it a little bit because, you got to break what you got and rebuild it to a certain extent. I think.
Right, because when you're through improving, you're through. I mean, you've always got to reinvent yourself as you go along.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you spend part of the year in Key West.
Yep, 8 months a year, or seven months.
If you were going to go out and have a good time in Key West, where would that be?
I like the Green Parrot as far as music. I love Alonzo's and A&B Lobster House as far as food. But yeah, I like the Green Parrots. Probably they got good bands every week, and it's free, and they got free popcorn. It tastes like movie popcorn, and their drinks are not outrageous. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're cheap, but they're not like Vegas or something like that. They're not $16, $18. You get a nice drink for like $6, $7.
Well, Key West is one of the few places in the world where you could be sitting next to a virtually homeless person next to a millionaire at the same time.
That's really why I like it, because there is no judgment down there. Everybody takes you at face value. There's no trying to keep up with the Joneses, and that's kind of my style. I like to be low key, and if you got to try to show off your wealth, you really. I never thought you were that wealthy. I thought the real rich people were the people that act like they didn't have anything. Keep it undercover. They might have some nice things here and there, but they're really not braggers.
I totally agree. And in the late '80s, I had a $10 million. He was worth $10 million. He was an asphalt paver. He took those profits and he built commercial buildings with it, rented that out. And he would come into the office in overalls with tar just all over his arms. You'd look at him and think he's not worth anything. He was worth a lot of money, and he just kept it private.
I learned that lesson very early. My first job out of law school was working with a PI firm down in Beaufort, North Carolina, not Beaufort, Beaufort, South Carolina, but I was in Beaufort, North Carolina, on the water. And this farmer came in, this fisherman or whatever, he had overalls, not barefooted, had shoe in the back. And he needed a lawyer and something to do with a land dispute. And I went to my boss, he said, oh, it's going to be $5,000. And this is like in 82, 83. I said, this guy can't afford that. He said, just tell him. I told him. The guy pulled out of his bib his overall. He had about $10,000 in hundreds and counted out 5,000. He said, take care of it. And I said, and then the lawyer, I went back to the lawyer. I said, you knew that, didn't you? He said, yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover, kid.
That's right.
He said, you charge what it's worth. You know, if they can pay it, they can't. They can. If they can't, they can't. But don't never let nobody looks deceive you. And that guy's rich. He's got one of the biggest fishing outfits down here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's next for PILMMA?
We're starting a new COO, second in command mastermind. You know, we started the AI for PI back in January. We're going to have another one of those in January in Florida. Trying to stay ahead of the curve because right now I see a lot of this equity money coming in, and I think for firms to get to where they can be paid premium, they need to have their system set up with a good COO that can run the company so that the lawyer, because the less dependent you are on the owner, the more you get for your company, right?
Right.
So yeah.
It even goes to the name of the firm. If it's identified with a person, it's not as valuable if it's a generic name that can be transferred.
Absolutely. That's like with PILMMA. I mean, I didn't call it Ken Hardison Legal Marketing. I called it Personal Injury Lawyers Marketing Management because I know one day I will sell it. I'm just not ready to sell it yet. I've had people ask, but I'm not quite there yet. I enjoy what I do. I still think I got some good left in me that I want to do, and I love learning all this new stuff about AI and all this equity money coming in, and I just think it's real challenging, and I think that a lot of lawyers need help, and I want to be the one to do it.
Do you think the equity money is going to come through the MSO, or will the state bars and the ABA change its rules on non?
I think it's going to be MSOs.
Okay.
I've
got a couple firms right now looking at starting their own MSOs. Now, there's different motivations, right? One wants to cobble together similar $5 million firms to get a $25 or $30 million firm all run by one MSO, and others want to do it just to get PE money.
Yeah.
So doing it right, I've seen one fail early on, but it was 15, 20 years ago, and their motivation was, we're going to do this for our competitors, and no competitor wants you to have access to their data. So that didn't work.
No, but I think it's you'll see a lot more of it. But I think and here's the deal. I was talking about this earlier. Even if you don't want to sell your firm, you need to set your firm up where it runs without you. Because if not, you just got a glorified job.
Right. It's working on your business rather than in it, and always thinking about what's the exit, because we don't know what's going to happen. We can drop dead tomorrow, or we want to transition the business either internally or to another firm.
Yeah, and you want to get that, your CFO, EBITDA is the big deal, right?
Yep.
That's what everybody's looking at now. And, 10, 15 years ago, I didn't know what that meant. But now I'm very conscious of everything. That's what I look at all the time. What's my EBITDA, and my cash flow. I'm not worried about per se profit. I'm more interested in EBITDA cash flow. Wise man told me, he says, with the cash flow's gone, it's over with. Game over.
That's right.
When you run out of cash, it's over. No matter how damn smart you are, what you got, the cash is gone, you're gone.
Well, Ken, this was super fun. Thank you so much. How can folks get a hold of you? Just find you on the PILMMA website?
Yeah, PILMMA.org. Yeah, or info@PILMMA.org. Yeah, we're here to help. And all our different programs are money back guarantee. I don't want people's money if we're not helping them. I like money, but I don't love money. So I want them to be happy. I got a pretty good reputation. I think you can look me up on the web. I do what I say I'm going to do.
I appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in to Judicial Dollars and Cents. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Good deal.
Thanks for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents, presented by Anders Virtual CFO Services. If you found value in today's conversation, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. To learn more about how Anders helps law firms strengthen their financial foundations and drive growth, visit anderscpa.com. Until next time, keep making smart decisions that make perfect sense.